Over the weekend, the Guardian newspaper reported that 1 in 4 adults in the United Kingdom had watched an online church service since lockdown began, and many people had also turned to prayer. Rachel Jones has written an excellent little book series called 5 Things to Pray For. So it's 5 things to pray for your kids, 5 things to pray for your church. And this is the latest instalment in that, 5 things to pray in a global crisis. And let me just read you the opening paragraph of this. We are living in literally extraordinary times. Times that will permanently shape us, our families and our nations. The COVID-19 pandemic has shown us that even in the 21st century Western world, life is fragile, wealth is fleeting, and plans are easily disrupted. In other words, we're living in the same world that James wrote about in his letter to our 1st century spiritual ancestors. And that reference is to the book of James in the Bible, written in the 1st century. And he highlighted the same things, the fragility of life, the fact that wealth is fleeting, and that plans are very easily disrupted. And towards the end of his little letter, towards the end of the New Testament in the Bible, he concludes with this verse, James chapter 5, verse 13. Is any one of you in trouble? He should pray. I wonder, is that why so many people in the United Kingdom have turned back again to prayer over the last 6 weeks or so? And the Bible, of course, encourages that because God is interested in us. And let me just show you an illustration that might help us to think about things to pray for. So let me use each of the digits on my hand and to reference each one of those things to maybe guide us in terms of what we pray for. So our thumb, it's closest to us. So let me encourage you to pray for those who are closest to you. Pray for your family, pray for your friends, pray for your neighbours. For those of us that are Christians, pray that during this time of difficulty, we will have a real voice to speak in to those people who are closest to us. Second finger is our pointer finger. And let me encourage you to pray for people who point the way. So pray for school teachers who are some in schools working with children of key workers, many others at home sending lessons remotely while maybe trying to educate their own children. So pray for teachers, pray for doctors and nurses as they lead the way through this pandemic, and pray for church leaders as well as they try and lead church congregations. Thirdly, this is our biggest finger. And let me encourage you to pray for people who are in charge. So pray for the chief medical officers and scientists who are working very hard to try and guide us. Pray that God would, in a remarkable way, speak into their minds, give them clarity of thought as they seek a vaccine for this virus. Pray for Boris Johnston as he leads the United Kingdom government. Pray for him this week as they will get together to make decisions in terms of relaxing the restrictions that are in place. Pray locally for Arlene Foster, for Michelle O'Neill and the Northern Ireland executive here. Fourthly, this is our weakest finger. So let me encourage you to pray for people who are vulnerable, people who are elderly, people who are sick, people who are alone and are really struggling with these 6 weeks that we've experienced of uncertainty and also isolation. And then lastly, that's our smallest finger. And let me encourage you to pray for yourselves. We're last. The Bible encourages that right the way through, that we put others before us. But pray for yourself. Pray that God will keep you close to him. Or if you're not a Christian, pray that God would speak to you through this and reveal himself to you. The Bible encourages us to pray. This book of James encourages us to pray when we're in trouble. And these are 5 good pointers of things to remember. Those closest to us, those who point the way, people in leadership and authority, the weakest and the vulnerable, and ourselves. But don't miss the last phrase of the verse that I read from James chapter 5. It says, is anyone happy? Let him sing songs of praise. Our natural inclination as human beings is when we're in trouble and difficulty is to seek help and to call out for someone. And I wonder, is that why so many people in the United Kingdom have been seeking online church services and turning back to prayer again? But God is not just interested when we're in trouble. God is interested all the time. And we do well to remember that God is loving, God is compassionate, God is gracious, God is faithful, God is caring, God is sovereign, not just at times of national and global crisis, but all the time, at every aspect of our world. And he's in control of it. And we do well to remember that we don't just pray to God when we're in times of trouble and difficulty, but we pray and give thanks to him at all times. And let me encourage you to do that as well. We have a great God who loves us and is interested in us. And let me encourage you to cry out to him when we're in trouble as now, but also to praise and worship and give thanks to him at all times for his love to us and his compassion to us, not just as nations and communities, but as individuals. Have a great day. God bless you.